And I believe we are live. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the channel Yankees Outdoor Adventures. I am Jalonos McWinut. Of course, I have Nick with me this evening. You guys know Green Feather. We do a lot of videos together. Before we get into tonight's topic, I got a little rant and I got a little message for all the YouTubers, all the YouTube creators, I should say, out there on the grubbing for money bandwagon, trying to collect their pennies over Brian and Gabby's misfortunes. And I guess, but now to clarify, I'm not upset that so many people are smart enough to know, hey, if I do a video about this, I'm going to get views. I'm upset that these people pretend that they care about people, but when you look at their channel, the topic I'm going to talk about, it don't show up anywhere. And I was going to call out the channels by name. I actually decided not to do that, but because there's so many of them, just to be honest with you. And so I'm just going to say this to you guys. You know who you are. And if you follow any channel that is doing stories on Gabby and Brian, go look at their backlog of videos. If my topic this evening is not there, then tell them a message for me. Leave a comment on that channel and tell them that they have a challenge from Yankees Outdoor Adventures. And here's the challenge. If you're one of those YouTubers who really think you care, then dedicate half as much time to this topic I will be sharing this evening as you do to the Gabby and Brian story. Gabby, I get it. She's a pretty white blonde girl, so the whole world needs to know something happened. But if you're an Indigenous female under the age of 28 all the way down to a little child, you will never know that this happened. And to prove that you will never know that this happened, tonight, in tonight's topic, I'm going to be discussing the thousands, let's just say the thousands of murdered or missing Native American women that you've never heard of in your life. And it happens all the time. Okay, before we get rolling too quick, I do want to welcome everybody to the stream, and I do want to point out one other thing. Tonight's stream is a little bit different. This is a non-fictional, but we're not talking about conspiracies or things that could be or couldn't be. We're talking about real life, real death, and a real appalling situation. One that should not exist in any country, let alone in America, but it does. And we're going to explain to you why it exists, how it exists, and I want to point out all the participation from all the other creators. You have shown in such a short period of time, 1 week. In 1 week's time, YouTube currently has over 2,000 videos. Over, do you hear me? 2,000 videos uploaded about Brian and Gabby. This is the type of awareness that the social media tried to bring to Gabby and Brian. In this scurry, we have people coming out of the woodwork trying to get their 2 minutes of fame by saying they seen something when most likely they didn't. We have friends who claim to be friends of that family who've changed their story 3 times just to get views on YouTube. And in all of this, we get no recognition for the thousands of young, attractive, healthy Native American women that go missing all the time. Nick, I can ramble a lot about this because I really am offended about these YouTubers and the way they address themselves as being caring YouTubers. Okay, that they care about the people and are bringing you this story and we're so caring. Brian and Gabby's family. But I also want to remind you guys that you're blessed. Why are you blessed? Because if Gabby was a Native American woman, you wouldn't even know she was dead yet. Even if the cops found her, you wouldn't know. All right. Again, it's a really hard conversation to have, and it's a very personal one. It actually pulls on my heartstrings. I'm not talking about just people. I'm talking about my brothers, my sisters. I'm talking about their children. And it's a little bit of a hard conversation, and it's a hard truth. But everybody needs to hear it. Guys, anyone coming into the chat room, please let me know with a Y or an N. A Y or an N. Do you know about the Gabby and Brian story? I'm just curious if you know about it, Y or N. And when we get done here this evening, you're going to know about a story that's way more appalling. And that's what we're going to go ahead. And I got to freeze up. Okay, sorry about that. Am I frozen on your end too there, Nick?
Yep.
Am I? Nick, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to you. Go ahead and explain to them that a little bit about oh, good God. See, I just had a brain fart because I froze up. But go That's ahead okay. and do your little explanation. I'll fix this.
So this topic and this problem that we're discussing tonight has been ongoing, unfortunately, really for centuries, but it's really in recent years that a lot of neglect on behalf of the media towards this topic, meaning that there's not enough conversation being had about this subject. In the United States, American Indian and Alaskan Native communities and people experience the highest rate of violence than all other ethnicities. And the purpose of a lot of the research that's going on right now has been to investigate the MMIW, which is Missing Murdered Indigenous Women Crisis. And they have essentially determined that the cities with the highest rates of MMIW begin an initial investigation into the root causes for this national crisis. And in the present study, missing persons data was analyzed from the National Missing Unidentified Person System, the National Crime Information Center, and from data collected and published in a report produced by the Urban Indian Health Institute.
Let me stop you there just 1 second, Nick. And I just do want to point out that there's not a resource of money for this agency or the research that's being done. Many of the research, much of the research that's put together is actually put together literally by the families because they have no other choice but to try to do this themselves and find out the information themselves. And it's if you visit the MMIW's website, not only can you get a large detailed list of the thousands of people this has happened to, but you can also get a place to help if you're interested in donating and helping them with their cause, because it's a very worthwhile cause. And I for one believe that some of the money grubbers who are rolling in big bucks over the Gabby and Brian story should actually do their part and donate some of that back to this cause that we're talking about this evening. But go ahead, Nick, and I'm sorry to interrupt you there.
No, please don't apologize, because this is a subject that you and I are both very disheartened. Unfortunately, you know, a lot of people really just are not aware, though, of just this is a true crisis. So unidentified persons data in general was analyzed from NAMUS, and data regarding murder cases of Indigenous women was also analyzed from what's called the UIHI report. So locations with the highest rate of missing Indigenous women in the country were identified as potential hotspots, and there were approximately 23 locations that were determined as hotspots for MMIW. Now, of these 23 locations where this is going on the most, 5 were identified as being the highest priority.
Did we lose you, Nick? I think we lost you for a second there, Nick. You might come back.
Okay.
What Nick was getting into there, and I'm going to let him finish when we get him back on screen here. Let me try this, see if this helps you along any, Nick. Yep, okay, you're back. You're back, okay. Nick. Go ahead, and when Nick finishes here, we're going to elaborate on a lot of this because there's a lot of things that need to be pointed out about this situation.
So within these hotspots where these cases are going on, it seems that there's a lot of link between hydraulic fracking going on around those areas being a likely contributing factor in the rate of missing Indigenous women. And there could be a lot of speculative correlation between why is that. But I think, to be honest with you, it's pretty obvious to those within those communities why that's happening, though there is this fear that it's continuing and there's not enough being said about it. Now, currently in the United States, despite a slight movement to raise awareness of MMIW cases, there has yet to be any direct actions taken by the federal government to address this issue, meaning the government, they don't care. They have not been contributing at all. They could have solved this by now. They could have absolutely saved way more lives. And unfortunately, not enough is being done. So in order...
On that note, though, Nick, right. let me just go ahead and do a little bit of elaboration and try to help people understand how this actually works, okay? If you're a reservation native, you have your own set of, it's like your own government. You have your own set of laws, your own set of police, okay? If something happens off of the reservation, your tribal police, your police officers don't have jurisdiction, so they're not allowed to investigate. And in the current situations that we have, when local police and federal police are involved, if it's a person who lives on reservation, they call it an Indian affair, and they don't want anything to do with it. So the council's unable to do anything because they're not allowed to go off the reservation, and the local police are unwilling to do anything because it's a tribal affair. Now, I know that probably don't make a lot of sense to anybody. It sure don't make sense to me when I try to think about it, especially when we're talking about discovering dead bodies or looking for missing people, missing children, missing women. It doesn't weigh, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense how the outside officials can just brush it off the way they do. And believe me, they do. Again, the numbers of these people are staggering, guys. I urge you to go to the website and look at the list of names. I also want to prepare you that you're not going to be ready for what you're going to see. The amount of names in fact, they went ahead and they've done it by regions, because in the hot spots alone, where Nick mentioned 23 hot spots, in those hot spots alone, there's not hundreds, there are thousands in those hot spots of missing or murder. Okay? The majority of all these crimes take place off a reservation. The majority of all these crimes are committed by non-reservation living people, white, male. And again, with the current situation, the police refuse to help, and the tribal council is unable to help tribal police. What can be done? Where they stand, they actually stand with mothers and fathers not knowing. One story that I can tell was of a young lady that went missing and again, guys, this is just a pick out of thousands, not out of hundreds, out of thousands. One lady who went missing outside of the reservation was reported missing. And it was reported where she was located, although because it was a tribal affair, the police would They would check on it. They would not check on it at all. After years of the parents trying to find out on their own what happened with no help whatsoever. You guys followed that Brian and Gabby story. Look at all those cops there helping. Imagine if that was your kid and nobody came. Nobody. Okay. After years of trying, inadvertently, the vehicle was found submerged. She was murdered. She was placed in the trunk. I am not going to give all the gory details of this hideous crime. But where was it found? Right where she went missing from, right where they requested the police would look. But instead, they left the family in agony. But, the story doesn't even end there. Because once the police recovered the body, well, you would think, oh, it's a no-brainer, right? We know they recovered it. They recovered ID. They got DNA. They'll send it home. No, that isn't the way it goes down. See, because it's a tribal affair and they don't care. So they shove it in a cooler and they don't even tell anybody they found it. You got to find out on your own if you're a family member that they found it. Man, you guys can see me getting mad. This is so frustrating when I flip on any YouTube, I flip on the TV, I see all these. There is like 15 police agencies, the FBI, all helping one skinny blonde white girl, and not one of them will turn a blind eye to a Native American who has the same problem. And an awareness needs to go out. It really does. It's appalling that Gabby's story, and everyone here said they knew who Gabby was, right? You know the story. That's because Gabby's story is worldwide, guys. They know about Gabby around the world, but they don't know about this story we're talking about. Now that's crime. That should be a crime in itself.
It should be. And it goes back to the fact that that culture is rooted in state-sponsored eradication of the indigenous people. So why would they have the mentality or invest the resources to find these people and their descendants? They're not interested in helping indigenous people in this country. It just is not the case. The federal government does not do what it needs to make up for the fact that there was centuries-wide state-sponsored genocide against indigenous people up until recently, even in Pennsylvania. Within the last, I think, back in the 1800s, it was legal to eradicate the Susquehannocks and the Lenape that were left in those states. That was a law. That was like they would pay people to do that. So
they pay you. They pay you to shoot one if you caught one.
So that that is the remnants of that mentality. The people who are here, they don't have the government.
That's not a
them the way that.
I can stand here and I can understand the genocide that took place early on in our history, right? We all have these stories of a genocide. We have people who have ancestors who were enslaved in chains. So is it any different that we have people whose ancestors were murdered for the sake of murdering? No. Okay. That I can accept because we're humans and we have an ugly past. I cannot accept it happening in our present when we claim to be what we claim to be here in America. We are caring. We do. We got all these groups and Black Lives Matters and all these things that make an impact, but yet thousands. And I'm going to keep stressing that because we're not talking about hundreds. We're talking about thousands of Native American women who go missing and wind up murdered or just are never found. We do have some interesting chat going on in the chat room. The ungrateful peasant in here is adding in some insight on opinion.
And going off of what ungrateful peasant is saying right here about the Canadian government up until 2 years ago. So the story that I have is actually from this month, September 5th. There was a girl in Winnipeg named Jessie Alexia McKay from the Cree Cross Lake First Nation who disappeared just literally within Winnipeg, Manitoba. And her family is pleading with people to please spread the word. They're looking for her. There's a lot of information that I could tell you about the specifics of when she went missing, but there's so many.
This is a current story, guys. This is current. This happened about the same time Gabby.
That's right. Yeah.
About the same time Gabby went missing, this girl went missing, only you never heard of her. That's the only difference, because she's not white and blonde.
No, she's 22 years old, and she's from the Cree Nation, so she is Native American. And Yankee and I, we would like to share the fact that Jessie Alexia McKay, she is missing. Her family's looking for her. The information is available. I would recommend checking out Jaguar Bird on YouTube. His channel has a really good detailed video about her and her case. And if you're interested, please check it out, because these cases are ongoing. This is going on right now. It's just that the mainstream news is not talking about these cases. So,
and guys, if at any point there's something we talk about that you want more about, just come back in the video after the video uploads and hit the comment section and let us know. And either Nick or myself will give you links right in the comment section. We'll make sure you find what you're looking for. And again, I do want to encourage anyone to visit the MMIW website. It's easy to find. You can search it out. The only good thing that has come from this national story is it kind of lit a fire under a bunch of our butts, meaning me and meaning other Native Americans who said, we can't take it. We can't take the blatant racist attitude of everybody involved. And I'm sorry, guys, if you follow one of these channels and they never talk about this story, you honestly need to ask them in comments why. You really do. If these are these are channels that you rely on and you listen to get these stories, you honestly do need to ask them why, because every one of them tries to give a story like they care. They're doing it because they care. And if you care, you would stop worrying so much about one girl who's already been found. Now the case is a whole different thing. And you would start talking about the thousands of girls who have not been found, because that's kind of important, isn't it?
It's extremely important, because they are our sisters, their future mothers, their daughters, their granddaughters. And this is a crisis that's affecting the Native community. It's affecting a lot of people and a lot of
4
families.
and 5. Okay. And before, because I planned this for a 30-minute long. If you guys actually have some questions or anything and we want to get into, we may run it a little bit longer. I don't want to make the video too long, because I don't want the point to be stifled by a long video. I want people to be able to catch this. But 4 out of 5, or I'm sorry, 4 out of 5, and I got to throw that statistic up here because it's one that maybe I can get you to really take it home when I explain to you 4 out of 5. If you are a father and you got 4 daughters and a wife, look at them right now. Only one of them will not wind up murdered or missing. Now, I don't even know if you can concept that, guys. Think about that a minute. That is what the Native Americans are facing. That is what they're facing. That's the genocide that's going on here. It's turned a blind eye to. These women are allowed to be raped, murdered, killed, and nobody cares. Of course, the families care. Of course, their brothers care, but nobody can. And it's a real hard, man. It's probably the hardest situation. I know you guys hear me choke up. This has got to be the hardest topic I've ever talked about on the channel, for sure.
And if you, the viewer, truly care, please share this video. Please post this video on your social media. Please listen to Yankee and I. Please share this video because this needs to be shared. This topic needs to be spread. Not enough people are talking about this. This is not my channel's not about Yankee. He's doing this because he is trying to promote the truth about a topic that is not at all discussed within the media. Right now, there's a complete and utter disregard for this topic in the mainstream, and it needs to be shared somehow. So please share this video.
And let me also, before we go though, let me explain the picture behind me too, because somebody had told me earlier, well, that's all, you know, but actually you'll notice when you go to the website, you'll see a lot of the women with this with this picture, with that inked handprint, red handprint, actually painted on their face. And this is goes to a belief system. Now, you guys watch my channels, I do a lot of Native American topics, and I try to stress how, although the country was full of Native Americans, there were different cultures of practices all throughout the country. Not every Native American acted like every other Native American. Some Native Americans believe that red is the only color a spirit can see. And they make this mark in red as a symbol so that the lost spirit can find its way home. Because guys, there's so many of these girls, they are still missing. They have not been able to recover them. They don't know where they are. Years and years go by and no outside authority cares. Grand Teton Park, that park where Gabby was found, that park has hundreds of missing Native Americans, and you won't find, other than the Native Americans website, the MMIW's website, you won't find anything about them. That's the only place you'll find it. The police don't keep a record. If the reports come in, they don't even file a report. They just say tribal affair, and they push it away. Nick, do you have anything else you'd like to add here?
I do.
I know we're getting ready.
So going off of, just to kind of wrap it up from my perspective here, Yankee and I are going to provide some of the information about the MMIW website, about the registry of names, which is probably honestly only a fraction of the true amount of MMIW cases. And
but it's still
really
thousands of names.
And we'll also provide
think about that.
We'll also provide a link to some information about Jesse Alexia McKay's case. And honestly, I would really, if you, the viewer, care, please share this video. Please post it on all your social media. Please send it to all your family members. Please send it to all of your friends. Everybody.
And if you follow any big channel
spread this topic,
if you follow any big channel, if you follow any big channel that does these Gabby and Brian stories, let them know in their comment section that Yankee Adventure put a challenge to them that they need to come watch this video. Because I'm calling them out. I'm calling every one of yous out. I'm tired of hearing how much you care. You only care if it's a skinny white blonde girl. That's the only thing you care about. And you care about your pennies when you're a YouTuber. I mean, I'm not a blind. I'm a YouTuber too, so I recognize it. All the caring people out in front of the house of Brian or Brian's family, the ones holding their phones this way, they were TikTokers. The ones holding it this way, they were YouTubers. That's how much they care. They were just looking for content. And here's the content y'all need to focus on. If you want to make a story worldwide, do you realize people in Russia know about Gabby? Come on, guys. If you want to make a story worldwide, make this story worldwide. The genocide needs to stop. The senseless murder of thousands of women a year need to stop. It needs to stop. They're my sisters. They're my brothers. Nick, as I said, this is probably the most emotional video I think I've ever dealt with. And it is. It's hard. It's really hard.
Well, like you said, these are our sisters. These are mothers, daughters, granddaughters, cousins, friends, and not enough people know. People in Russia, like you said, know about the one case of someone that everyone in the world knows about now. They should all know about this. Everyone should know about MMIW. Everybody should know about Jesse, Alexia, McKay. Everybody should know about all of the women that are missing right now in the Indigenous community, because there is not enough being said or done about it, even at all. So please, if you care, then share this video. Please spread the word about these cases, please.
Definitely. And guys, that's it. We're gonna wrap it right here because I didn't want the video to run too long. And a couple girls that are found. And it was no, now wait a minute. You're right. Let's get the story right. I'll talk about that real quick. And I did explain it once already, but I'll explain it again. The tribal has police, but these situations happen off of the reservation. The tribal police have no authority off of the reservation. So the police or federal agents have to be involved. When they are involved, their answer is, this is a tribal affair. And they hand it back to the reservation, who is not allowed to investigate. That is 100% the truth. It's a red tape BS situation where the genocide is just allowed to continue. Our government does not help it. I don't care if you're for Biden. He does not help it. I don't care if you are a Trumpster. He does not help it and never did. None of them have helped it. This situation has gone on since the beginning, and it's still happening. It did not stop. Well, you know, again, that could be, that's, in my opinion, that's a hearsay story. Let me research it and I'll tell you. And I feel like you're telling me that story to belittle the genocide. So, I mean, obviously it points to what side you're on. I'm not going to argue. There's no argument. If anyone feels that they have to argue over a race of people being exterminated, then get your ass back to Nazi Germany, man. You know, I mean, oh, hey, hail Hitler. Hey, I'll see you there, buddy. I think we're about to wrap it up. That dude's evolution will eventually take place. I mean, without a doubt, and he'll evolve to something better. Hey, on that note, there's actually a turtle that evolved to be able to breathe through its butt. And now you're not that evolved yet there, brother, out there. But eventually, maybe you will be. I mean, after all, you're talking through yours right now. Green Feather, I love you. And we're going to talk to you later on. Everybody, thank you for coming in. Please do share if not the video, share the awareness. I'm the only one sounding racist. Much love, everybody. How you doing there, Nick?